Hey, what's up everybody? Ryan Pitts here, and today I'm going to do a photo edit in Lightroom, and I'm going to show you how I took this photo here and turned it into this photo. Now, first of all, I do want to explain this was a preset that I had already, so I'm pretty much going to start from the beginning and just kind of go through all the settings to try to get a similar look. Obviously, when I have a preset, I do apply it that I've created. I apply it to photos and then I make adjustments from there. So it's never just slap it on and then leave it. As you can see, I have a bunch of presets that I've made over here, like Ryan's black and white, a vintage look I have. I have some for using the local gymnasiums when I'm doing sports photography, also outside. And then also I've just named some of these portrait and then some of these by kind of the look I want on certain places. So if I was doing an ice fishing shoot, this is kind of one I really like. Obviously, it does not apply to this photo. I also have a bunch of free presets over here that I got online that, to be honest with you, I never, ever use at all. So let's get started. The first thing I do with photos is I crop them. And this is a wide photo, and I am obsessed with 16:9. Don't ask me why. I think it's because of all the video I shoot. It's just something I really like a lot. I am going to use, and I use a lot, rules of third. However, I am pretty far over there to the right, so I'm going to try to get as close as I possibly can to that rules of third. And if I'm trying to mimic that photo, I'm pretty darn close. I actually zoomed in a little bit more than I had originally, so I may just actually bump it off just a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do, and I actually didn't do this in the previous photo, is because you can barely see it, there's this tire back here, and I'm going to want to get rid of that, and I'm just going to see if I could zap that out somehow. There's a lot of people that do this stuff in Photoshop, and I think if things are in the background, it's really hard for people with just a normal eye to catch something like this. Nobody's going to look at that and go, that looks kind of weird, unless it's pointed out to them. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to look at is my highlights. And I'm mainly looking at my shirt here. I really like right in there. Now, shadows, I'm a huge fan of just blowing shadows way up. And I'm going to put that at maybe 70 here and then bring my blacks way down. Don't ask me why. It's what I'm liking. Okay. I am a big fan of clarity and dehaze. Dehaze to me is almost similar to contrast, except I feel like it just does more. So I use actually dehaze a lot more than I probably should, but that's okay. I'm also a big fan of clarity, like I mentioned, and I'm going to want to bump that way up. I think clarity is the biggest thing for giving photos kind of that grungy look. And then I'm going to bring my saturation down by like 10. Don't ask me why. I'm just going to right now. I am going to skip this for now, the tone curve. This is actually something I usually mess with last. Once again, don't ask me why. I am just awful with blues, and I hate blues, so I'm just going to take those out right away. Okay, now that may be too much because you really lose the blue that was kind of in my hat and also in my pants, because these pants actually are a tone of blue. So what I'm going to do is then go to luminance, and then I'm just going to kind of bump those up just like that. Orange, let me see. I'm mainly looking at my kind of face, seeing where I want that. That usually brightens it up as well as the grasses in the back. So we're going to go right there. The next thing I actually want to do is I'm going to come back to this. I already see that I want a vignette on this photo. And mainly because there's a lot of dead space over here that if I can kind of contract it down to one zone that draws the eye in, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go to Effects, go to this post-crop vignetting. I'm going to bring it in. Now, the biggest thing people do is they over vignette. And I do not want to do that. I want to be real picky with how I do it and how just this much kind of draws you in right to me here rather than a little bit more over to this side of the photo. All right, let's go up to my color temperature because I think this photo needs to be a little warmer. I'm going to bring that up. I overdo it a lot on color temperature, and that's just me. That's a style that I kind of have. If I'm going to go one way, I'm going to go usually a little bit over. And then if you look in the top left of this photo, you kind of see it looks kind of red up in here a little bit. And that's because of this tint. So I'm going to get rid of some of that. I'm going to turn it back this way. Okay, we're at 4. That might be a little bit too much. If I go to 10, it's back to red. So I'm going to kind of go, I'm going to go to 7. I think I like 7 there. And then I think I want to dehaze it a little bit more. I want a little bit more punchy. Give me a little bit more punch. As you can tell, this photo is already looking different than this one. This one definitely has much more kind of green, especially in our trees back over here. And you can actually tell that the tint is actually at -7 on this original photo. So I may change that later, but I'm liking the way this looks. Like I said, this was a preset on this photo here, photo number 6. Photo number 7, I'm just starting from scratch and getting a look I like, and then I could always change it from there. And then I'm a big fan of, if I'm in the same location, of copying, pasting, and using the similar style. Vibrance, I may pull that down just a little bit. We're going to go to -8. Okay, I'm still looking at skin tones. I'm looking at kind of the blacks, the shadows down here, kind of the inside seam of my pants right here as well. Those all look pretty darn good. I don't want to overdo it there. Whites I want to bring up maybe just a touch. Where did I just have those? We're going to Command Z, 21 there. Okay. Now, this is a little trick I like to do. If it doesn't affect the image too much is I don't have my summer tan on yet, so I do want to bring my skin tones up a little bit and make them a little bit orange, more orange. So before, when I was here, I used my luminance and I took that orange and actually made it brighter, so which is my fault. And I actually want to go back the opposite way just a little bit, make it look like I'm a little bit more tan, keep those skin tones nice. I'm going to move my reds now, because reds, see, kind of, you can see my ear back there kind of change, and I'm going to make that a little bit brighter. Okay. Now, let's go to green. I do like those trees back there. What are they? Conifers? Okay, pine trees, whatever you want to call them. I should know, but I don't. So I'm going to go to green, and now I could change the hue of it, but I think I'm going to leave it the same. Maybe I'm going to actually bring those up a little bit more, saturate them a little bit more. Now yellow. This image is mainly yellow, so where do I want it? Oh, man. I'm going to move it. I'm going to make it a little bit more yellow. Maybe even a little bit more orange, but see how that then changes my skin tone? And I'm not too big a fan of that, so I'm going to bring that back. Aqua. Not a whole lot of change. Must not be a lot in there. Sometimes when I'm going through images, if I don't see a lot of change, especially in the saturation, I just leave it there so then I don't touch it later in these other ones. So like I said, blue, you can definitely see here I want to keep the blue in that pants just because they are naturally blue. And then let me see, what else do I want? Noise reduction. I'm not going to do any noise reduction, even though I probably could, because you can see a little grain back here. I'm not going to, because this is going to be for Instagram, Facebook, whatever, so I'm just going to kind of leave it the same. Nobody's going to notice anyways. Excuse me. Do I want to make any changes here? No, I don't. All right, let's go to the tone curve. Let's check out our highlights. I'm going to move these a little bit. Now, with tone curve, I really don't look at the numbers because they don't mean a whole lot to me. I just kind of move them until I feel like there's a sweet spot that I like. So I'm looking at my shirt, and I don't want my shirt looking like this. So I want to bring it back down here, and then we're going to go to the lights. And to me, I feel like you could do a lot with the tone curve if you play with contrast. And I feel like that's where you're going to get the best benefit. I'm going to maybe move my darks or my shadows just a little bit. Like I said, this is too much. Obviously, just playing with sliders again. Here we go. Okay. I'm liking that image. Now, I want to brighten up my face a little bit. I'm going to go over here, and I want... Oh, my shadows are already up. Must have used that last time. And I want to just kind of pop that open. And hopefully that brightens up my face so you can see it a little bit more. All right, I can play with whites a little bit, but that's going to give me too much. I don't want to overdo anything here. I'm probably just going to leave that there. Now, this is obviously much different than this one. I actually do like my original preset I had before. It's actually much flatter. The original photo. This one is a little bit more punchy. Just by looking at it, there is still a lot of like kind of red in the tint. So I am going to move that back to like 0. That might be too much for this image. Just because I did turn up the saturation on the greens, that if I turn the tint too much to the left, things are going to get way too green, and that's going to be ugly. Okay. So, let me see. Do I want this any... I'm going to kind of make this straight, so it kind of goes from my toe to my ear here. And I think that's going to be how I'm going to straighten it out. Now, the last thing I'm going to do for this photo is I'm going to get rid of this power line because I don't want it to look like there's a power line there. Now, once again, just like with the tire, you probably forgot that. We even took that out right away. The power line can be easily taken out if you go in sections. Okay, so don't just go like this and expect it to be fixed. Okay, now does that do a pretty decent job? Actually, it does. I still feel like you're going to notice it more if you go like that than you will in sections. So I kind of like to go in between trees. Okay, just like that. It's going to move it. I could obviously then move this. We're going to go here. This could be one big section. Kind of maybe line up like tree branches, stuff like that. We're going to go here. Okay, that kind of grabbed from way down there. I don't like that. And the reason I do this is also to keep kind of the colors of the trees similar. Ooh, actually I like that. That looks pretty good. And then also kind of in here, you kind of lose it naturally anyways, that nobody's going to ever see it. I'm going to go from tree to tree here, tree to tree branch. Okay, kind of copy that tree branch. We'll see what we can do there. Okay, now I've got that done. Doesn't even look like there was ever a power line there, but I do want to blur some of this a little bit more. So I'm going to grab my gradient tool over here, and I'm going to turn my clarity down to 60 and my sharpness. And I'm going to go like this and just drag that from the top. Now, do you see how it kind of brightens the image too? Don't ask me why it does that. It just naturally does that. So with doing that, I'm going to go shadows, and I'm just going to pull those down a little bit, make it look like it's a little bit darker. Then the image kind of flows from top to bottom, kind of bright, and then gets a little bit darker at the top. So I'm going to pull down some of those whites. And here is the final image. And I think that looks pretty darn good for what I'm trying to do with this image. A couple more things that I may get rid of if I look at it and really fine-tune it, is something like this. It's just a little bit distracting, so you get rid of it. Maybe this branch here. Get rid of it. Get rid of that little anything else. I may get rid of stuff like this just to be picky, just so it's not too distracting and takes away from the actual focus of the image, which is obviously me, and then you kind of have the wood look. So that is my edit. that is a big edit for, a 15-minute video that I just created. But I think this is when you want to get images from here to here, that's what you have to do is, you really want to take advantage of the photos you take and make them the best you can. And this is something that I just did. And would your normal person know a difference between maybe these two edits? No, maybe not. Obviously, if you're a trained color corrector, color editor, color grader, whatever you want to call yourself, you're going to notice a big difference. And just having them side by side, you can as well. But obviously, this is just a look I wanted to go for. And obviously, I just turned the saturation down just to try to maybe mimic this a little bit more. And it got that much closer. So that's where we are going to leave this today. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day.